Yeah, I don't think Mother knew about this.
Uncle Marvin was strangled by his own beard.
Yeah, never saw it coming. Hello, America, and welcome to America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. Great guests today. Several people we met at Roots Tech back in late February, early March. That is America's largest family history conference. It was held in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's 4 people, 2 black, 2 white, all descended from the same slaveholder. And they have come to love one another, and they're involved in each other's lives. It's the Black O'Kellys and the White O'Kellys. And we're going to introduce you to all of these folks coming up in about 8 or 9 minutes, so stay close for that. You're going to love the stories. Hey, just a reminder, if you haven't done it yet, sign up for our weekly Genie newsletter. It is absolutely free. We've got links to all kinds of stories that you as a family history researcher would enjoy reading about. We've got links to old shows, new shows, and a blog from me every week, and it's absolutely free, so sign up at ExtremeGenes.com. All right, let's head out to Boston right now and talk to David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. And when last we left the chief, he was expecting a footlocker, right?
Exactly. In fact, it arrived right before a major rainstorm.
Ooh.
So it got in the house safely. I was biting my nails, worried that no one was going to be there and it was going to get soaked and all the papers and everything inside.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's safely now in our guest room. It's a World War II footlocker from Camp Shelby, Louisiana, where my third cousin, Douglas A. Lambert, was when he was with the 339th Regiment, part of the 85th Division in World War II. And it was loaded with treasures.
Wow. What were some of the items in there?
Well, the real surprise was a 55th wedding anniversary of his parents, who had been married back in 1914. I'd never seen a picture of his mom and dad other than a photocopy, so that was fun. The document from Franklin Delano Roosevelt to the family, thanking them for the service of their son and sending sympathy, obviously a secretarial signature, but this is a month before Roosevelt died.
Yes.
There was also a regimental picture, which I'm not sure where he is because nobody put an X where he is.
Yeah.
All the guys look alike. And the other thing, of course, was his Purple Heart and sharpshooter medal, which I didn't even know was part of it.
Wow.
That was sent to the family posthumously. So his medal was probably something he had in his footlocker, and it was put in a shadow box. Sadly, it was hot glued.
Oh.
Needless to say, Gooby Gone is a wonderful product. and on the back, Douglas A. Lambert now shines like it did when the family probably first opened the box. So I'm very honored to have this, and I've begun the process to look for his obituary in a local town paper, seeing what records survive for him on a state level, because the federal records in St. Louis were burned, and to learn everything I can about the 339th and the 85th Division leading up to the day that he died on March 11th, 1945.
Incredible stuff. What a haul, David. All right, let's get on with our family histoire news for this week. Where do we begin?
Well, we begin with a story in Rhode Island, the littlest state in the United States, and this deals with court records. Not the type that you're going to find in the court, the ones that you could find on eBay. You know as well as I do, there's treasures on eBay all the time. Sometimes they're ones that really shouldn't be on eBay. So a Superior Court judge blocked the sale of these court records from the 1740s, and it's amazing the things that you'll find in court records, as you know. In fact, he gave an example from the Newport Superior Court records where they denied the naturalization petitions, for 2 Jewish men because they didn't profess to the Christian religion. And there's records of African-American slaves and all sorts of things. And just to think that this could have been lost to history and just gone into private hands, now it's in the hands of the archives, and it's going to be protected and used by genealogists.
Boy, that's a great decision. And, you know, there are documents like this that show up on eBay all the time. And it's great that some of them can get into our private hands, but something like this belongs in the archives of the state, no doubt about it.
Well, my next story is a happy one for a man who spent over 3 years in Auschwitz and Dachau during the Holocaust. This young boy never got a Bah Mitzvah, but at 93, his family in Dayton, Ohio, surprised him, and he finally got to celebrate with his family something he should have got when he was 13.
Wow, what a great story.
So my congratulations to Samuel Hyder, and what a wonderful thing his family did for him.
Absolutely.
Okay, our next story goes all the way back to England. Now, this time, we're dealing with odds. Not the type that you hear in Vegas, but how about 20,000 to 1? 5 generations of a family, there had never been any boys until recently. So my great-great-grandmother, who's 86, her daughter, her granddaughter, great-granddaughter, and now great-great-grandson. Finally, there's a boy.
Sweet.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
When you think of the time frame. I think about it. My youngest daughter is 14, and her third great-grandfather, there's a generation difference, would have been born in 1799. So in, say, 20 years, if this woman is only 106 and he has a child, she could be a third great-grandchild, right. 6 generations. The math just doesn't work in my family because everyone was sort of like, we'll get around to having kids in our 40s.
At some point,
50s.
Yeah.
Well, each week I like to spotlight a blogger, and my blogger spotlight goes out to another Brit. This is Natalie Pithers, who has a blog on genealogystories.co.uk. She likes to focus on all sorts of things from brick walls to tips, and if you have British ancestry or genealogy in general, you'll find her blog entertaining. Her recent one is a focus on brick walls themselves.
And I should mention, David, that if you're looking for a link to what you just gave, you can do that at extremegenes.com. We provide a transcript with every show right there, so you can just click on it from extremegenes.com.
Hey, don't forget, if you're not a member of AmericanAncestors.org, you can go online and join and save $20 by using the coupon code EXTREME for Extreme Genes. Well, catch you next week, Fish.
All right, David, thanks so much. Have fun with your footlocker, and we'll talk to you then. And coming up next, we're going to talk to the Black O'Kellys and the White O'Kellys, all descendants of the slaveholder, and they've developed a bond that few people ever have. You're going to want to hear their story. It's coming up next on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, in 3 minutes.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've worked with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476 or register online to get a free estimate. Right now, you can save up to $100 on professional genealogy research. But hurry, this offer expires at the end of the month. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right. Or go to patreon.com/extremegenes. Well, it wasn't that long ago that we enjoyed Roots Tech 2018 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I was hanging around the media center and came and found my wife, who was just outside of the entrance, and she was taking photos of a very unique scene. It was a couple of white people with a couple of black people, and they were all cousins. And then we got the story, and what a story it is, and I'm so happy to get a reunion of everybody together here. We have Joyce Ann Houston, she's in St. Louis. We have Nikki Williams, she's in Atlanta. They call themselves the Black O'Kellys. And we have Brad Rainier and R.G. Hoskins Shumway. They're from Utah. They're the White O'Kellys. And it's so great to have you all here. You guys were having a great time getting together. How often do you see each other?
Not often enough.
I think that I can tell because you guys were just having a party there and my wife was getting sucked into the spirit of things. All right, you guys pose this way, pose that way. But it's a great picture and you can see that photo on extremegenes.com. And I'm going to start with Joyce Ann and Nikki and get your stories, your backgrounds. How did you connect with Brad here and RG?
Well, this is Joyce Ann speaking. I've been doing family research. I started around the mid-90s or so, and in doing the paper trail, I ran into RG's account on Ancestry.com. And I always had the family history. Every reunion we would hear the story about our Ellen Fisher and her trials and tribulations as a slave on the plantation of the O'Kellys, and that we, came from Mississippi. And so I found Argy's tree with some of the names that was appearing on the death certificate of the O'Kellys we found, and that's when I was able to reach her through Brad, and we started our paper trail and coming together at that point.
So what you're saying, as I understand it then, Joyce Ann, is that you descended from the slave, and Brad and RG here descended from the slaveholder.
That's correct.
And at that point, of course, you didn't have any evidence yet of relationship, but nonetheless, I think in those circumstances, that's often assumed, right?
No, you can't assume anything because sometimes the slaves or their descendants will take the name of the plantation owner regardless of if they have a DNA relation to them.
Okay.
So, but from our family history and the way our family looked, it was pretty obvious that there was a mix in the blood.
Okay.
And around 2012, we were contacted by another descendant in that tree to do a DNA test, and that's when we confirmed it without a doubt.
That's unbelievable. Now, you and Nikki came together at what point? You live in different parts of the country. Are you close relatives, or did you find each other in your research? Nikki?
Oh, no, we're close relatives. We've known each other our whole lives. I'm from St. Louis. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And as an adult, I moved to Atlanta. So we've always known each other our entire lives, and we have our family reunions every 2 years.
And so you've shared this interest then, obviously, in the family tree research that Joyce Ann was doing.
Yes, Joyce Ann was there. Joyce Ann came way before I did. But she had a lot of work done. Joyce Ann developed some family history books, And I would just read through those, and I just thought that was amazing, and I was hooked. From the reunions, from our family history, I always wanted to find more.
Isn't that
fun?
Well,
let me also add that Nikki always brings in a new perspective of things. When she saw the first book, she says, we need to get a website going.
Yeah.
I didn't have that before. So, boom, there we go. We started our website. And then later on, Nikki says, we should be in the Daughters of the American Revolution. Let me figure this out. And by going through Archie's tree again, she found our Patriot.
Wow. Well, Archie, let's talk about this. First of all, I think you are the senior member of this foursome, yes?
Sounds like it.
Yes,
and you've been I'm speaking in terms of research here, people, not in terms of chronological age. But when did you start working on your O'Kelly research?
I work on a lot of the lines. My O'Kellys came from my great-grandfather who married an O'Kelly. My grandfather's picture hung in my grandmother's home, and I used to think, who is this man? I want to know about this man. My grandmother was from Natchez, Mississippi, and she started telling me about her father, Daniel Fairley, who was married to Lenora O'Kelly. So that's when I started researching not only the Fairleys, but also the O'Kellys.
So was that the 80s that you were into this?
No,
or
this
even
is when
earlier?
I was 12 years old, and I'm 82 now.
Wow.
So that gives you an idea how long ago I started thinking about the O'Kellys.
Wow. So when Nikki and Joyce came along, then this was really kind of a new angle to the whole thing, right? Especially when it came to the DNA.
Yes, but we had actually put it all together before the DNA. The DNA just validated what we already knew.
Okay, you mean in terms of their relationship?
Of our relationship
there was
with
actually
each other.
Paper records that kind of suggested that this O'Kelly ancestor was the father of Joyce Ann and Nikki's ancestor, right?
Yes, we started saying documentation is something that we need to have so that we can say that not just our oral history is there, but we know from records.
What kind of records would people find that would suggest the paternity through a slave?
This is Joyce speaking again. I had discovered the death certificates of Ellen's children, her O'Kelly children, which was Dan, Will, and Charles. And we had also had oral history that Ellen had children by slave owner brothers, but we hadn't had any paperwork to support that. And when I found all three of their death certificates, that oral history was true. James Edward O'Kelly, that's RJ's line, had children with two of Ellen's descendants, and then his brother, John Beatty O'Kelly, had Ellen's third child.
Okay, so then you had, according to the death certificate, you had the names of the fathers on there.
Yes.
Correct.
As they understood it, of course, like anybody else, we never know exactly how accurate that is, but the DNA, it doesn't care what anybody thinks, does it?
No.
And that's the beauty of it. So what kind of DNA did you use? Was it autosomal strictly?
No, we began with Y-DNA.
Okay.
Another white O'Kelly found our website, saw that we had the same names, and asked if we would test so he could prove if he really had a black relative.
Okay. And so who did you test on your side?
I tested several males.
Okay.
And we matched this original gentleman. Patrick O'Kelly, he donated the first test, and we matched him. So that was our first clue. RG didn't do her DNA, or Brad, until many years later.
Okay. All right. And so,
and to clarify,
yes.
Scott, we did the Y-DNA, and we had perfect matches. And with Y-DNA, that means we had zero-step matches at 67 markers.
Right. That's huge.
I'm sorry, at 30. Yes, at 67 markers, and I forgot the one prior to that at
37.
37.
37, yep.
Yes. So we had zero-step matches from men who were direct descendants of the sons that Ellen Fisher had with James O'Kelly.
So let me ask you all, what was your reaction when you got that? That had to be a great moment.
It validated what we already knew. It was a great moment. It was a great moment to share with Brad.
Brad, you remember that day?
Well, a year and a half ago when we were tested, I remember that.
Okay. All right.
quite clearly, and that was a lot of fun because at that point I had met Joyce Ann's mother, Lois. She had come to visit my mother, Argie, here, and we were just charmed. I mean, she was just so much fun. We just loved having her visiting, and to verify that she was a close relative was a lot of fun.
Yeah, just from a few generations back. Absolutely. So how many
Scott,
times?
One thing.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Scott, this is Nikki. And one thing I wanted to add about my great-aunt, Lois Houston, is Joyce Ann Houston's mother, and she was my mother's aunt. So, but one thing I wanted to stress about my Aunt Lois is I guess, Joyce, would you agree with that? She kind of spearheaded us in meeting, I guess, Argie and Brad. And I think she kind of, the way I saw it, is she checked them out first to make sure everything was okay. And she traveled there first.
No, that's not true. I traveled to Utah.
Oh, you traveled there. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What Argie was that, around 20?
That's true. I remember.
2005 or something like that.
Very close to that time.
Yeah, so I went to Utah to meet Argie, and we did a research. It was my research trip, and she was so generous with all of her books on the O'Kellys. And so that we had the first meeting.
Wow. And that had to be quite an experience for you both.
It was a beautiful experience. I fell in love with her over the phone, and then even more so when I met her.
Well, isn't that funny? You know, this is the thing, because I just feel, and I've always felt, that genealogy and family research throws away all differences, because we find out we're like, 99.9% the same, that the differences are all in 0.1% of our DNA. I mean, it's insane. And so this kind of experience and the fun and joy you're all experiencing really tells me this is part of the answer, people, of how we get the world straightened out. And I'm excited that we're all a part of it and doing this kind of work. All right, we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the impact of this coming together that it's had on both sides of the family as we visit with the Black O'Kellys and the White O'Kellys on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, in 5 minutes.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
We are back. It's America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment is brought to you by FamilySearch.org. And we're talking with the O'Kellys today, the black O'Kellys, the white O'Kellys, the cousins related through a slaveholder and a slave back in Wilkinson County, Mississippi, back in the day.
Specific, Perrytown, Woodville, Wilkinson County, Mississippi.
And during the break, you guys were telling me that, Brad, your daughter lives near Joyce Ann in St. Louis. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And we were headed out there to visit and thought, well, hey, let's meet Lois's family. And Joyce Ann, when she does something, she does it big. And so I thought we were going to meet Joyce Ann and maybe another brother or something. And she just had this big reunion planned for us. And it was great. We went in there and we just felt like family. They really made us feel welcome.
Yeah, and Brad also had another son with him, so it was a reunion. And then I said, wow, this was such a big turnout. I let some of the media people here know, and then they had us on TV.
See, this is great. Big love fest, and everybody sees that, you know, this is how it's done, people.
It was interesting, too. I think there are a lot of similarities in our family. Joyce Ann is an accomplished musician, performed in Las Vegas for many years. My son is into music, and by the end of the evening, they were in the basement jamming together.
And I should reintroduce everybody here. We got Joyce Ann Houston. She's in St. Louis. We got Nikki Williams Sebastian. She's in Atlanta. They're the Black O'Kellys. And then Brad here, Brad Rainier, and his mother, R.G. Hoskins Shumway. She's the longtime researcher of the family. They're in Utah. And it's just a joy to have you all come together here on the show and talk about this amazing experience you had coming together through research and now through DNA just a few years ago. So I'm interested on both sides. What was the reaction of your families to learning that you had cousins from the black side and the white side?
Oh, well, I'll say speaking for the black side, we already knew it. We just didn't know who they were.
Right.
So when the news came that they were coming in to visit, everybody was so excited. And I didn't start off with a large group, but as the word spread, more wanted to come, and many were saddened that they couldn't make it. So what happened is, you know, my mom had come out to stay with RG a year or so ago, and she became an LDS member, and they became very tight. And then, unfortunately, my mom passed away September of last year. Well, RG and Brad came to St. Louis to attend her service. And when I replayed our television cast, the whole room stood up and applauded, gave them a standing ovation, and then they became superstars at my mom's service.
Oh, isn't that great? A bonding. And this is so wonderful because if everybody in the world had this kind of family bonding, there wouldn't be the problems that we have.
Exactly. Why do you think they stood, Joyce Ann?
The love was sincere. You could see it in the interview between Brad and RG, and Brad's son, Ben, was also part of that video cast. And it was all sincere. We spoke about it was harsh what Ellen had to go through.
Yes. And,
you know, how we got to be where we are today. But everybody was just willing to embrace them because they could see they're just wonderful people, loving people, and sincere. And it exudes from them. So then what everybody did was they stood in line to wait to have a one-on-one with both of them.
Wow. That had to be quite the experience, Brad.
It was. My son Benjamin, who was at that first reunion, when he was asked about this, said that it's great that something so wonderful can come out of something which at its beginning was so unfortunate.
Absolutely. And I think part of it is like this movie, A Wrinkle in Time, that Oprah's in. And they make a mention in there about, do you realize how many different decisions go into making who you are? Really, if you go back to the beginning, it's millions of decisions. And for us to focus on the negative things, because everybody has descended from something negative, something horrible. And we've all come together from wonderful love stories, I'm sure, as well. But we are all unique that way. And, you know, if we're able to, like you say, put this aside and say, hey, look, wait a minute, we don't have anything to do with that, but we're the result of it, and we can make this a great thing. It's fantastic to see, and that's what actually drew me to your story, was just the obvious love you all felt for one another.
Thank you, Scott, for calling it a love story, because that's what it is a love story, a family love story.
Well, Archie, can you tell him a little bit about the reaction in the beginning when I approached some other people? Because he said, how was the white side reaction to it? Can you tell him a little bit about that? Like that lady who wrote that book and stuff.
I think sometimes an uncomfortable situation causes us to interpret it in a way that is uncomfortable for us. But I think that she was willing to reach out and contact me and cross that bridge so that we could be where we are today.
So tell me about this. What was the situation there, Joyce Ann?
I found her book, and I saw these names, and I wrote to her, and I said, I believe I'm related to you all. Do you know R.G. Shimway? I'd like to speak with her. So she contacted R.G., wrote an email or something like, this black woman is claiming to be related to us. I don't think this is necessarily true. You don't have to talk to her if you don't want to. But R.G. didn't have any issues with it. She went forward, and we did meet. But along the way, I continued to stay in contact with this woman. She just never really accepted that her ancestors were involved in the slave tradition.
Right.
It wasn't a family love story like we're talking here, but you were asking about why did that probably happen at Lois Houston's memorial service? Why did people applaud?
Yes.
And I think people applauded because we saw their response there was just genuine. And that in regards to slavery in American history, my family saw that R.G.'s family, that they get it. They understand it. They accept it. Bad things happen. Slavery did actually happen. You know, it affected people's families, and it impacted families for generations. And I think that was just the root behind the warmth that they experienced, because we were just acknowledging that they acknowledge that they get it, that slavery happened. And, you know, it is what it is.
And the impact.
And we're moving forward. Yes, and the impact of it. They get it.
Yeah, that's the hard part, because really nobody has ever figured out a way to go backwards.
For me, a lot of it came because my mother raised me in a way that I was taught to not judge people based on race. And she also taught the importance of family and how everyone has their problems, their challenges, but we look past those and we embrace family. And it was neat going into Joyce Ann's home that first time and having all these people come in that I'd never met before. And frankly, some of them looked at me a little bit like, who is this guy and what is he doing here? And is he really part of our family? But by the time I left, I got so many hugs and so many expressions. People just calling me cousin, you know, texting me. Joyce Ann's brother, Lamont, how you doing, cousin? Give me advice on the drive home. I just left there feeling like this was long-lost family that I had been missing without knowing it.
And with that, I'm going to have to say we're out of time. I cannot thank you all enough. It's been an amazing couple of segments here, talking with Joyce Ann Houston, Nikki Williams-Sebastian, Brad Rainier, and R.G. Hoskins Shumway. Thank you all so much for sharing your story, and a great lesson for a lot of people to think about, I think, as we move forward. DNA is going to bring about more and more of these things. I know they're happening everywhere, but it's really fascinating to get under the hood of this thing with you all and the experience. Thank you all for coming on Extreme Genes.
Thank you,
we appreciate you having us. The DNA revolution is here and now. Everybody, let's come together.
Absolutely. Tom Perry's coming up next to talk preservation in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research, you enjoy the discoveries. LegacyTree.com.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right. Or go to patreon.com/extremegenes. And welcome back. It's America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And this segment is brought to you by legacytree.com. Tom Perry is in the house from tmcplace.com, our preservation authority. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Super.
All right. We've been talking recently, until we got all kinds of questions last week, about dealing with those things you preserved. Now that you've preserved them, How do you preserve them? How do you preserve them? This is true. I mean, what we're talking about is you take these original old formats, VHS or film or negative. Now you've digitized them. Now, how do you save the things you've digitized, because they do deteriorate quicker than any of the original stuff?
Exactly. You need to make sure when you go and digitize your old negatives or photos or whatever you have, you want to make sure that they're going to be on a media that you're going to be able to read 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years down the road. So it's actually preserving both. Okay, you got it digitized. That's not the end. Right. You want to make sure it's on like a Tau-Uden disk. Yep. You want to make sure you have a copy in one or two clouds that are unrelated. You want to also have them on like a thumb drive. You want to have them on your hard drive. And then you want to spread them out. Make sure you use the best disk, which are Tau-Uden. If you want to know how to spell it, go to our website. It's right there. Make sure the vendor you're buying it from has multiple stars so that they're good. Because there's nothing worse than preserving all your stuff you've hung on to for 30, 40, 50 years, and then 3 years down the road, it doesn't work anymore.
Sure, that makes sense.
And that comes back to why you always want to keep your old stuff. I know some people are the opposite of me. They throw everything out. They don't want to keep anything.
Well, I think as we get older, and I know I'm going through this with Julie, we talk about it all the time. It's like, I'm afraid of doing to my kids what my mom did to me. I mean, just left me with so much junk that we had to sort through. And you really want to make sure that you're well organized for that day.
Exactly. It's kind of like a library. You have your Dewey Decimal System where you can go in and find specific books and things. You want to make sure you store those properly in the right kind of boxes. You want to tape them up so moisture doesn't get in, rats don't get in, mice don't get in. All these kind of things. So you need to know how you're going to preserve those. Because once you've got them digitized, if you have cool software like Heritage Collector, you'll be able to look at your software and say, okay, this is here, this is here, this is these people, this is that.
Right.
But if for some reason you're doing research, like we were talking off the air, and you need to go back to that old Bible, and you need to look at something that maybe you've kind of lost on the disc, you don't understand what it is.
Well, how about the back of photographs? What might be on there?
Exactly, and that's a perfect point. We have people all the time come into our store that have stuff on both sides, and we say, hey, if you want both sides scanned, we can do that. That's no problem. Just separate them and say, okay, these are the ones I just need the front. These are the ones that have things on the back. Because a lot of times you're going to look at the picture, oh, I know who these people are. But are your kids, are your grandkids going to know? Maybe your oldest son does, but does your youngest daughter know? So that's why it's important to get a system like Kodak has, where it scans the front and the back, and they're right next to each other. So like you say, you look at something, oh, wow, what is this? You know, I can't read the writing. So maybe if you go back to the photo, you'll be able to read a little bit better because you don't have the time to go through every single photo and check everyone. That's why you always want to keep the original stuff, because you might need to go back to it someday.
Right. And you can go through and you can find if there are duplicates that maybe aren't as good, or you want to share with somebody to get them out of the house. But to try to find the way to do this properly, that's what we need to dig into today.
Exactly. And whenever you're digitizing stuff, never assume that it is a duplicate like you mentioned, because I've had pictures come through that I'm scanning for a customer. I go, why would they have put all three of these photos in here when they're duplicates? And so I would stop and look at them and go, oh, and I'd see a little bit of a nuance that's different that I wouldn't have noticed.
Sure.
But then I saw three pictures, so I kind of delved into it where they knew, because was there a thing, so they need to have an explanation why we did these.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what are we going to cover in our next segment?
Let's talk about exactly how we put all these things together and how you want to protect your photos, how you want to protect your VHS tapes so you can store them. And also, don't ever throw photos away. If you have photos you want to throw in the garbage, put them in an envelope, send them to me. I'll take them.
All right. It's coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. We We are back. America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth with Tom Perry from TMCPlace.com, talking preservation. First of all, Tom, before we get into preserving the originals that you've already digitized.
And that's where we talked in the first segment about discs. Discs are great. Everything's digitized now. But if you don't have a good quality disc, you've actually gone backwards instead of forwards.
That's a good point, because you think you've digitized something, you think you've preserved something, and all you've done is created a little temporary thing that lasts a couple of years and it's gone. And now if somebody destroys the original or you've thrown it out because you didn't know better, then you've lost it all.
And as technology gets better, I've told a story about people have old slides and then they find some more slides, we transfer them, and they go, why do these look so much better than the old ones? Well, because of new technology, new DPI, new lenses, all kinds of things. And if you threw your slides away, we can't redo them for you.
Exactly. All right, we've got to get back now on track here. We were talking about preserving those things that you've already digitized or preserved visually or as far as audio is concerned. What do you suggest, Tom, as far as those things go?
Okay, one thing that's really important, and a lot of people are confused about this, videotapes, they just think videotapes degrade so fast. Well, not really. If you take good care of them, keep them away from any magnetic devices, keep them in a cool, dry area. If you're in the deep south like Florida or someplace, you have humidity, take precautions to keep the humidity away from them. And whenever you want to store tapes, you want to store them on their ends. Don't lay them flat, because a control track is on the bottom of the tape, and if one of the springs or something cuts loose and it lays there and adds pressure to it, then your tape's going to lose its control track, which is basically its brain that tells the tape what it's supposed to do.
Now, does that apply just to VHS, or does that also apply to like Super 8s?
It will apply to any kind of videotape.
Okay.
You want to be really careful. Audio tape also. Audio tape has a lot more flexibility in it than do videotape. So videotapes, you have to be a little bit more careful. But then we get into reel-to-reels, which can be all kinds of things. You got to understand that when reel-to-reel tape was made, they didn't have the technology that they had when cassettes came out. So they have problems if it's not stored in ideal situations. It can start to flake off. We have a thing which we've talked about years ago called shake and bake, where we can take those old tapes that are flaking and make them playable again. And so then we can get them transferred, because a lot of places, they'll take that tape, they'll run it through their machine, and it disintegrates totally. Oh, but that's fine, I've got a CD. Well, if something happened to your CD, you don't have your tape anymore. That's why we want to fix something before we transfer it. That's why when people send us Super 8, 8mm, 60mm film, we go through and clean it first, because we want that film to come back to the customer in better condition than they brought it into us,
right,
so then they can archive it properly.
Boy, that's really good points here. I mean, the bottom line here is we can fool ourselves into thinking we've preserved something when we've only made a real temporary digital thing if we haven't preserved it in the cloud, if we haven't preserved it on another place, all the things you mentioned in the first segment, and then we wind up not taking care of our original stuff. We've lost it all.
Exactly. It's like you can go back to your history and say, oh, we had great teachers, we had great fathers, we had all these great people. I don't need to take care of my kids because they're fine. No, every single thing has to be taken care of properly. You need to think forwards in order to take care of the things that happened before. And it's really, really important. You never lose sight of that you need to preserve the old stuff, not just digitize it.
All right, Tom, thanks so much, and we'll see you again next week.
I'll be here.
We have once again covered a lot of ground on the show this week, and we're so glad you came along for the ride. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to sign up for our free weekly Genie newsletter. I write a blog in there each week, provide you with links to old and new shows, plus links to stories that as a genealogist, you're really going to appreciate. Hey, next week, I'm going to talk to a young guy you may have seen on network television. He's 21 years old, and he's devoting his life to interviewing at least 3 World War II combat veterans every day. Yeah, and you got to hear his stories, how he got started in this, what he's doing with these stories, and how he's finding these incredible World War II combat vets. That's next week on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Take care, join us then, and remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.